Club. This is our online interactive book club that you can join right from your computer. I'm Rachel Hine, and joining me as always is Geek and sorry, it said Hector Navarro. I almost got past it. I was just like, I'm Hector Navarro. Here's Hector Navarro. Yay! He's here. I'm not him.
Aquaman shirt. I'm ready to go.
Boom.
My man.
My man.
Oh, that's right. That's Aquaman now. Yeah.
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 And welcome back, Motherships. Amy Vorpal.
Hello. So nice to be back. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Happy holidays.
Welcome to our Alpha community.
Sorry, that threw us because I was real nice and genuine. That's weird. Can we just be that? Can we be normal and nice and genuine? Let's find out.
One of us can.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Aren't we? I don't know. I feel like I'm
Can we?
pretty
Yeah.
nice and genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No?
absolutely. You are very nice and very genuine. You are very nice. Very genuine.
Okay.
Very nice.
But,
That pause is messing with me.
but
But you're not.
Oh,
maybe
boy.
I'm uncomfortable with the genuineness that everybody's throwing around. It's real.
You're my friend.
Hey, you're my friend too.
Ooh, that's a lot.
This is making me.
I know, see? And there it is. All right.
Oh, you guys, welcome to our Alpha community.
Yay.
We're super excited to hear your thoughts on this week's book. I know a lot of people are big fans, including many people in the studio. Thank you.
Well, yeah.
So if you guys are just joining us, we are reading the first book in a series of unfortunate events, The Bad Beginning, or Orphans. That's what it says. That's what it says on the book. It wasn't me. So, written by Lemony Snicket.
Okay, stop right there.
Okay, yeah, okay. It's a nom de plume.
It's a nom de plume. Who's the real writer of these books?
Whoa, I didn't realize there was...
Is the
Oh,
real
Daniel Handler.
Daniel? Oh, that's helpful.
Well, I wasn't
took
there
care of
yet.
They took care of us.
Daniel
So, it was
Handler.
written by Lemony Snicket.
Yeah.
It's a pen name, or nom de plume, which is a phrase I learned from Aladdin. Daniel, his real name is Daniel Handler, and Lemony Snicket is his own character. From what I remember of the book series, he does letters from the writer, and it's sort of a character in the book. He's not actually him. And so this is the first in 13 books.
Cool.
Very nice.
It seems like a lot, but it's not because these aren't super deep.
No, it's
so
it's
they're
a
not super
really
dense.
quick read. The type face is large.
The margins,
The
are
margins
huge.
huge, and there are nice little illustrations in here. And I believe the first book was published in 1999, I think.
And it
yeah,
went to,
1999.
And it went to 2006?
And the 13th was in 2006, so turned these bad boys out. And just to go through because I really like the titles, both for their alliteration and also just certain words in here. The Bad Beginning, which we just read, The Reptile Room, The Wide Window, The Miserable Mill, The Austere Academy, The Ersatz Elevator, The Vile Village, The Hostile Hospital, The Carnivorous Carnival, The Slippery Slope, The Grim Grotto, The Penultimate Peril, The End. I just really like all of those.
That's
titles
great.
Yeah.
a lot.
Those are really great.
And so these are sort of, they've been adapted into a film with Jim Carrey, which, much like the adaptation for The Golden Compass, you should maybe not watch.
Ooh. See, now I remember it being okay and not surprised, but not really bummed out that they didn't continue making the
think
movies. Do you know what I mean?
I
thought it was fine.
Maybe if you like the book, like maybe if you'd read
Sure.
the book and then seen it.
Oh, yeah, because I read the book and I heard such bad things that I was like, oh, no, they can't screw this up for me. So I never saw the movie.
Yeah, I didn't like it. And then recently, was it this year? Time is a flat circle. and
Time is so weird,
I feel like
yeah.
this year has lasted an eternity.
It
has. There's a TV adaptation that just came out on Netflix starring Neil Patrick Harris, which I watched the first episode of, and I don't know why I didn't keep watching it because I enjoyed it. So I should probably watch it now.
Well, maybe because you're not because I watched the first episode too, and I was like, I'm going to add this to my queue. I really dug it. It was like Wes Anderson, but for
But
children.
it's for kids, yeah.
But there's still some sort of darkness and cool, you
Yeah.
know, a little Tim Burton-y vibe in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a must-see for us because we're not children, I feel like, or
Yeah.
have children.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's something that, well, I would have powered through. Meanwhile, I'm powering through shit like Stranger Things, The
Yeah,
Punisher,
Right. 'cause it's-
like nerdy TV stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
you know, yeah.
Question for you guys: did you ever read these books before? Have you read
No,
them?
never.
You know what? I don't know. I don't know. I have.
You
a
don't know if you read them.
I don't know if I
Well,
read
what's
them.
real?
No, but it's more of these things. I don't actually remember a whole lot of stuff. Like I like.
I'm sorry. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm very concerned because I don't
Here
we
remember
go.
anything.
I
Here we
know.
go.
I'm not concerned, but there's. I mean, I know. I've read from. I've read so much.
Me
I know
too.
I have, and I don't. It's like songs. Like I'll know the song. Oh, I've heard that song before. I will not know the artist. I will not know the
That's been
title.
happening to me on
but
book
that,
club where I know
yeah.
I've read it, but I don't really remember.
So
what
this
happened.
rang of something that I had read, but I also read a whole bunch of YA, a bunch, like gobs and gobs. So it rang as something like, oh, I feel like this is familiar, but I don't think that I would know until I kept reading and got to maybe number 5, because it was around the same time I was reading Percy Jackson and all of that kind of stuff, that where I think that it was all connected anyway. I don't know. But reading it again, it wasn't one of these like, oh, an old friend. So I'm not sure.
I have
I
that
don't know.
same thing with a lot of comic books too, you guys. I read
Yeah.
a comic and I'll buy it and I'll collect it, mainly because I'm hoping one day to maybe share it with a kid that I have, maybe if we're not nuked. And I
Sure.
will, if I'm lucky, remember one thing from that comic book story, like one Aquaman moment or one moment where Nick Fury says, yeah, well, my God has a hammer, and he points to Thor or something, like one thing, but then I won't remember the rest
Yeah.
of the,
But
so I can reread every couple of years, like, oh shit, this is great, I like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So-
But the Google is getting good with all that kind of stuff, because I remembered yesterday a 2D overhead game that I played on my Mac back in, I don't know, the 90s or something, and I searched game with man with gun who shoots candy, and that's all I remembered, and I found it.
That's impressive.
What was it?
Power Pete. If you've ever played Power Pete, which I don't know that anyone has, because
It
it was
sounds
so,
terrible.
It was awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. And it was this guy with a big chin, and he walked around with a gun, and he would go, fire in the hole! And and the other thing he would say, take that, you fiend! And it was, yeah, that's how he sounded, and it was pretty
What was
great.
it called?
Power Pete.
Power Pete.
It got really hard in the candy level. I think that's why I remember. You had to collect bunnies. I don't know. It was arguably uninspired, but still a great game.
But like affected you.
yeah.
Well, like,
But, yeah, you
I
could
played
Google
a
that
game
now.
like
Yeah.
that was like some sort of military game, a 2D game that was on our computers. I think it was called Bolo.
Oh, I think I remember.
Was it a
Bolo.
PC game or a Mac
Yeah,
game?
a PC game.
I think it was a PC game, and like not something I would play now. But at the time, I was like, "This is on a computer." Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes,
like,
exactly.
I'm in my dad's
very-
office. I'm bored.
Very
Yeah.
easily
I'll play
impressed
Prince
by
of Persia.
technology. Yeah, oh yeah. Well, I read at least. Well, reading the titles, I read the first book. I read The Reptile Room. I read The Wide Window. I think I read The Miserable Mill, and then I think I stopped because I was in junior high or on the cusp of junior
Sure.
high when the first one came out. So by the time I had read 4 of them, I was like, I'm gonna smoke and no, I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna smoke weed. Bye, Lemony Snicket. I'm an adult. Yeah,
I'm not kidding. But
I'm cool. I'm gonna watch.
Wow,
I'm gonna
really,
watch The Craft,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
I'm cool.
I wasn't cool, but I was definitely trying to be
Yeah.
cool.
Oh my God, I didn't even try.
Oh yeah, yeah. I smoked cigarettes for a long time, and I'm probably going to be in trouble for that. But I don't anymore, so that's good. And they're
That is
bad.
Good. That's really
but
good.
I read these and I really dug them because of the tone, and so
Yeah.
I want to just talk to you guys about the book and sort of your first impressions before we dive into sort of the.
My first impression is tone great. I love the comedy. I love the wordplay. Love the snarkiness. As a book as a whole, it's not for me. It's not for me. As an adult, I feel like I enjoy it. If I had read it, I would think I enjoyed it. But as right now, it's just one of those like, oh, it's not really challenging. The like the fun logic twists, I guess, that the kids would like. It's like I would read this to my kid, and that's about where I would stop. Like I don't need to read more. I don't need to watch the show. It's cute.
Where would you rank this on a scale of The Giver enjoyment?
I enjoyed. Oh man, that's interesting because I do remember reading The Giver. So that Yeah, this is lower than The Giver. Again, I love the comedy, the words. It has nothing to do with the author, and it has everything to do with the story itself and the plot. I couldn't get around the characters. I couldn't get around the plot, which is like a weird thing to say about a YA book. But
well, it is weird.
I just didn't care.
The ultimate like showdown is like.
Yeah, and it might be one of those things where this is the pilot, and it gets better. But I at this point I'm like, I think I get it, and as I feel like I'm a really positive person. I like a lot of things, and I don't dislike it. It's just not for me.
You're just not the target audience.
I 100% am not. I think I would like if he. Here's where this tone takes me. If you've ever read the Bartimaeus trilogy,
somebody went ooh. Is that real? Is that a real ooh?
Yeah, you love it.
Great.
So that book, it has the same snarkiness and everything, and it's for kids, but it's more of like the character. You get to see the Lemony Snicket character of this like kind of asshole, derpy djinn, is like a genie, this being that he is, and he's kind of the man who knew too little genie. He's the house genie, pisses people off, but he ultimately, it's about friendship, and he gets it right in the end. That kind of thing.
Different covers.
But
wow.
But these are just like this train of logic that these kids are following, where you're like, okay, okay.
Yeah, they're not real.
I don't know.
What do you think, Hector?
I love this book.
Did you really?
I really did. I really loved it. I thought it was super cute, but what really helped me was watching, because I had seen the movie years ago, and I remember liking it, but I didn't remember too many details of it other than Jim Carrey was Count Olaf and other characters. And then there were 3 kids in it.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
and then he did
I
different characters.
forgot
And then the
about
one
that.
girl, like the next movie she did was Sucker Punch, and I was like, wait, isn't she like
She's-
13? And it was weird because
she's Laura Moon too. In
she's
American
Laura Moon,
Gods.
and
What's her name?
which is weird because I'm like,
Thank you.
yeah, because I'm like Emily Browning was 13 yesterday, but when did Lemony
Sucker
Snicket
Punch
come out? I know. Lemony Snicket. When that first movie come out? Like 06 or something? 08? So it's been like
Sucker
10
Punch
years.
Came out in like
So this woman is in her 20s, maybe even 30s. I don't know, but anyway. So what I decided to do was, as a refresher, I watched the first episode of the Netflix show because I also heard really good things.
Yeah.
Before you read the book?
Before I read the book. I read the book last night and I stayed up till about 3 in the morning. I started at about 1 a.m. Took me about 2 hours to power through this bad boy.
Yeah.
And the only reason it took that long is because I was taking my time with the Patrick Warburton narrator.
love
He really took
Patrick
his time with it.
That's awesome.
But as soon as it opens and he's Lemony Snicket, I was like, this is great. I love Patrick Warburton.
Yeah.
What else you got? And it's very Wes Anderson. Just the show real quick. The show is very Wes Anderson-y, mixed with Tim Burton, mixed with it's definitely like Fantastic Mr. Fox for me. It's a fictional world. It's fictional.
I might need to give that Netflix show a shot then.
Because first of all, Neil Patrick Harris is so goddamn entertaining. And I was watching and I was like, I don't know what it is about NPH. He's just such an entertainer. He's just like a showman.
He's theatrical.
He's theatrical. He's so funny. It's full of weird looking people with weird faces, like a good Tim Burton movie. Joan Cusack's in the pilot.
I watched the
Like,
pilot and I liked it.
And the kids were real cute, but the kids are definitely like, they're speaking the way, they're not actually real children. None of the humans are real. All the adults are too stupid. But it's a fake world. You know?
Yeah, it's this whimsical, it's like a mood more than, it's more about the vibe.
My favorite example,
the
I think,
characters.
sums up the show and the book series really is the kids are delivered to Joan Cusack's house. She was wearing that funny wig, and Joan Cusack's this lovely, sweet woman
Like a
because it's Joan Cusack. What's that?
Like a barrister, because she's a lawyer.
Yeah, she's like a judge. So she's
Or a
wearing
judge,
that wig. And they're like, are you so-and-so? Are we in custody of you? She's like, oh, no. Count Olaf is across the street. And the camera pans, and as it pans up, this like black bird flies into frame as it goes to a haunted house, a spooky house thing. And as the black bird's into frame, another bird comes and kills it and just keeps flying. And I was like, that's really funny.
That's
and
awesome.
it kind of sums up what the show, and both of those animated birds are not real. They don't look like real birds. They're like a fake, like almost like the owl in Labyrinth, like a really fake looking, CG. Remember that, Al?
In Labyrinth?
Is that, look at that. I didn't even realize what you were wearing. That's amazing.
My favorite movie.
That's amazing. Anyway, so just watching the pilot helped me understand the vibe, right? The baby of the family has superhuman teeth, and she's like, chew something up. I'm like, okay, none of this shit is real, but it's really
kind of Incredibles-y.
Yes, and it's really whimsical. It's really cutesy for kids, And
but it's also macabre and has that
and
like
dry.
dark, that like black humor.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And in the first book, it's kind of messed up because at the end, the guy's
it's
like trying
mean,
to
like
trying to
they
marry a like a 13 or 14-year-old, and I'm like, well, that's unfortunately super politically timely. Like that's really messed up that I got to read
Yeah.
Count Olaf trying to
Yeah.
trick marry a girl. It's weird.
Well, it's
But I love the book. I thought it was, and I want to read all 13 of them, and I'm sure that it's great. And I, like Amy said earlier, I feel like the best use of this series is to read it to a kid and to
Yeah.
do voices.
Yeah,
Because there's so many
you get
opportunities
to
for
teach
funny
them that
voices.
level
Yeah,
of
and-
humor. It's like
Yes.
we've talked about this before, but one of the big, I think when we were doing Hitchhiker's Guide, because
Mm-hmm.
British humor was a big thing for me when I was like 11 to 13.
Mm-hmm.
But it started with my dad showed me Monty Python, and I read Douglas Adams, and I watched Eddie Izzard, and that's sort of like there's a level of like knowledge, like the jokes
Mm-hmm.
are funny because you know the history and it's like almost like an educational
Yeah.
humor,
Yeah.
but also very sardonic and dry.
And also commentary on the humor, like
Yes.
there's a lot of commenting in this book. And again, like I didn't have a problem with that. I really liked that. Every time there was a word where it was like, in this case, this word means this.
Yeah.
And Sunny, you think she means this, but really that meant this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just like commenting on what the actual story is as Lemony Snicket. So
Mm-hmm.
he's got a good sense of humor and that was enjoyable.
I'm sure Lemonie's great, but again, Amy, if you do watch that pilot, it's Patrick fucking Warburton, so it made it so much better.
So sorry, and
yeah.
I haven't seen that, but in the Netflix show, Patrick Warburton is
He
narrating.
walks in, he's
Yeah.
Lemony Snicket.
He's
and
Lemony
he's telling
Snicket.
us the story.
Okay.
And the very beginning of the book is pretty much recreated beat for beat, where he's like, if you're interested in stories with happy endings, you'd be better off reading some other book. In this book, not only is there no happy ending, there's no happy beginning, and very few happy things happen in the middle. This is because not very many happy things happen in the lives of the three Baudelaire youngsters. Violet, Klaus, and Sonny Baudelaire were intelligent children, and they were charming and resourceful and had pleasant facial features, but they were extremely unlucky, and most everything that happened to them was rife with misfortune, misery, and despair. Sorry to tell you this, but that is how the story goes. It's very, like, it's Warburton.
Hector!
That's a
That's
terrible
That was so
Warburton.
good.
That's
That was
very
up there with
Warburton.
Peter
Yes.
Falk. That was
It's
really
Warburton,
good.
like walking up and laying that out, and I was like, I'm in for this. This is so
cool. That's
funny.
pretty
So
cool.
having him in my head as I read this, like,
that's-
increased it 100%.
I should have
Fine.
done that.
I will say that fine, but a book should be able to do that for you.
I agree.
Like I should,
Mm-hmm. I know.
like so I'll enjoy the Netflix series, but
Mm-hmm.
but already I feel like my time is like pulled in so many
Oh,
different
yeah.
directions.
For sure.
It's good to know where the line is for me, and this is on the
I still
left side
haven't
of the
read
line.
book 2 of the Wrinkle in Time series,
I know,
and I
I've been
bought it
meaning
and do
to
have
do
it at
that.
home.
I
Oh, yeah.
know.
But I'm like, and I think I'm gonna read it when the movie comes out.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna get
I'm
super
so
stoked
excited
Well,
about it
if we're
again.
talking about what we're currently reading.
What are you reading? Wrinkle in Time?
No, Brandon Sanderson.
I've heard I should
Brandon
read
Sanderson?
You've told me.
I did. I'm
and
on
other people have
Oathbringer
now done
just
it.
came out
Yeah.
last
What's
month.
Brandon Sanderson?
He wrote Mistborn is the big one that he's known for. And
How
then
high fantasy is it? Are there a lot of descriptions of mountains?
no,
Okay.
it's action. They say yeah.
On a scale
The
of 1 to
characters
Lord
say
of
yeah.
the Rings,
That's
how
important.
many
They say
dwarf
yeah.
names are
we
there?
are way more make a movie out of this.
Okay.
Than Lord of the Rings, which sounds weird because Lord of the Rings was an epic, amazing
I just watched
movie.
a bunch
But-
of them again, and they're great, but they are.
Yeah, so there's
Sorry.
I guess the difference is the character action. There are more verbs than there are adjectives.
Okay, great.
Good.
That's perfect.
Okay.
That interests
Okay.
me.
I highly recommend it. So I'm on Oathbringer, which is the last in the Stormlight Archive, the last of the trilogy in Stormlight Archive, and he has said that he really likes this book too. So it's very good. I'm getting my mom that trilogy. My book reader mom that trilogy.
Are you on? I forget. Are you on Goodreads?
I am on Goodreads.
I gotta follow you so
Yeah.
I can, because I want to read more fantasy. Yeah, I think I read these and I dug them. There were a couple of series like this where I read a lot. I read a lot when I was a kid, and I read a
Yeah.
lot of YA. And I didn't read Percy Jackson, but I did. There's something else that reminds me of this, but I do like the Victorian vibe to it.
Oh, yeah.
And I do remember the later books because right before I read it, I remembered the movie and I remembered the show, and I couldn't remember where this ends
Yeah.
and where the next book. And so I kind of think of the first like 3 or 4 as the first book, and so I was like, oh, it's only that one story.
Yeah.
Which
the wedding,
in my memory was probably my least favorite. I think I liked the one with the
This is
the
4.
reptile room.
This is 3. We don't have the reptile room. 2 down there somewhere. 1, 2.
Boom. I also love these, and these
Those
were the
covers are
books
great.
I had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
these
I
are
love
good.
the art. Look
You
at
know,
this baby.
does anything magic ever happen besides, Sunny being?
No.
No? That might be where it lost me.
You know more. These are really great. So
Well, I mean, I think
look
that
at this
like
baby.
But
yeah, that's pretty great. I think that
And
like
they
the
have
child
this cool
biting,
damask
you know.
interior.
Yeah.
I promise
Yeah.
I won't hurt your bucks. No, because I do bend all my bucks. But this one,
Very
I
nice.
remember there are more characters who come into their lives. Spoiler alert. Adults. And I remember liking them a lot more because this kind of sets up how evil Olaf is, but then later it's like they meet different people and I feel like they learn from them and it's a little bit more of an adventure running
was there
around.
something where there?
BFD mystery.
Yes, what is
The
What?
BFG, the BFG mystery,
They keep coming across letters,
BFD.
Yeah, yeah.
and they're related to how their parents died.
Yes, and I do remember and there are
that's
some
kinda cool.
twists
Ooh, yeah, there is.
cool.
There
about
is. That's another thing that made me
It's called
excited.
a fire. It's a fire department.
It changes a bunch of times. Like sometimes it's
spoiler.
very fancy doilies, like different. Weird
See, I feel like I remember that. I don't know.
You're like weighing it out like you're Indiana Jones. Like, did I read this?
But I'm thinking.
Did I? By the weight of it? I'm Amy
I am
Voelpel. By the
thinking-
weight of it?
I think I was also. I really like. I joke that maybe not having magic, but I think I was.
Are you okay?
Is there any way to show us an instant replay of that? Is that possible? We don't have that technology? Oh my God, I'm going to watch this episode when I get home because that was hilarious. Because it was a close-up on Amy, wasn't it? And she reacted to nothing, you guys. 2 books fell down. And I picked them up. They fell right here. They fell from here to here.
I run.
Maud's thrown a book.
I run
more
nervous,
than that.
and, like just before.
The way you reacted,
I
it was
know.
literally as if you saw a ghost. You literally went. It was not real. There's no way that was.
Lee Travis Lawson. There was literally all he did was bark at me. He goes, "Ah!" And I go, "Ah!" It scared me just as much. Like
saw
I
it.
am a nervous fucking person.
Nervous. I think I say nervous Nelly. I'm a nervous fucking person. Okay.
I'm a nervous now.
I can't wait to see the instant replay of that.
Oh my God,
man.
sorry. I was talking about magic. Oh yeah, I think I was expecting magic. I think I was
Well,
expecting them to
It's
have
got,
powers.
it's definitely got a
surreal-
magic vibe
There's a surreal.
to it. Yeah.
There's like a magical
Yeah.
realism to it.
Yeah.
Magical real. There's the baby can bite stuff. It's impossible. The kids go to another adult and go, hey, this guy's abusing us, and the adult doesn't listen. And you're like, okay, the adults are that stupid in this magical
yeah,
fucking world.
yeah, totally.
It's Edward Scissorhands.
But that's a different
it's,
thing than having magic, and I kept wanting them to have magic.
Okay.
I really wanted that.
I also
for me.
really like the the sort of diving further into this fake world and fake author that he's created
Yeah.
at the end of the book with
Oh,
the
yeah.
cornucopian cavalcade, and it's a serial supplement to a series of unfortunate events by Lemony Snicket, Volume 8, Number 1, available only in paperback for logistical reasons.
Yeah.
And there's like a note from the publisher and a preview of a different book that's not that's the same guy. And there's comics in the back, and like I don't know, Aaron, do they continue this story through the other ones as excerpts?
The spoily brats.
And this is a different edition of the book that came out, the paperback. They tried to make it like a Penny Dreadful.
Oh, okay.
So the little extra stuff is not in the rest.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, so there's like all this other stuff in it. There's a Mary Poppins character, and it's just very interesting. And there's a paper
Ooh.
magician in the back, and I really like when you're building a world and you go the extra mile of building the world within a world.
Yeah.
Like,
Look at these other in the very back too, with all of the like stuff that he wrote. There's first of all, there's a box set. There's a couple different box sets, but then there's also a box of unfortunate events, 1st through 13th, The Complete Wreck by Lemony Snicket. There's supplemental materials. There's a series of unfortunate events, Lemony Snicket, the unauthorized autobiography by Lemony Snicket. How is that unauthorized? That doesn't. That's really funny. All of them, ask for them by name in appropriate buildings.
And there's like a Dear Abby sort of, or letter to the editor in the back. What shall I do, Lemony Snicket? Dear Mr. Snicket, I would like to be a writer when I grow up, but my dad wants me to be a dentist. Help. Troubled in Tacoma.
Dear Miss Troubled.
Thank you.
Take extensive notes on your father's behavior. Man who pressures other people into dentistry will be a wonderful character in your first book. With all due respect, Lemony Snicket. That's great.
Isn't that
That's really
so
fun.
good? They're all really good.
What's the best way to keep a secret? Breathless in Seattle. Dear Nurse Breathless, tell it to everyone you know, but pretend you're kidding. With all due respect, Lemony Snicket. What an asshole.
Yeah, they're really funny. And I think, like you guys said, reading it to a kid would it almost like the things that you expose kids to can help develop their sense of humor. So I feel like an 8-year-old reading this book is going to be very precocious and fun. You know what I mean?
He's going to be the 8-year-old that's going to be like, Aunt Amy.
Mimi is what my nephews call me.
Mimi.
Yeah, I'm Mimi.
This book is fucking hysterical. This is the funniest goddamn thing I've ever read. I've been alive for 8 years of my life. This is it.
You have a mouth on you for 8.
Yeah, fucking yeah, dude. This book is that fucking good, dude.
Well, this is where...
Is he also from San Diego?
Yeah, dude.
The other day, my nephews...
I gotta go surf.
I was on FaceTime with them, and they were cracking up. All I did was, like, basically say mean things to them. I would say, how dare you? And they thought it was hilarious.
Because it's great comedy.
And the biggest thing that they got out of it was I said, oh yeah, you know what you did. and they lost it.
Yeah.
Lost it.
That's all this book is.
It is.
It's telling
very
an 8-year-old, like, you know what you did. And they're like,
I do know. Or like when
I don't know what's going on, but I want to feel smart.
My, God, I'm trying to think of one. When my brother, who's 12 years younger than me.
Wow, you were in a void.
You were a middle child.
Yeah, well, they're not related to each other.
Right in the middle. That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I'm the only constant.
But I did the math earlier. So
I'm not Penny's
Your 31-year-old brother took you as a 13-year-old to that movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting. I don't, because I'm 32.
Also,
if I had a 13-year-old sister.
I'd take him to Lemony Snicket. Yeah.
No, I'm saying
Mission to Mars.
Oh, Mission to Mars? Yeah, I'd take him. I'd take him to that.
Okay.
But also my older brother, he won't watch this. He doesn't really understand the internet, but is 6'5". This is like
yes. Now I want.
Okay, so we're a very tall family.
Uh-huh.
I'm 5'11" now, but when I was, I don't know, 8, and he was a grown-ass man, 6'5", I remember we were in the Beverly Center. It was Mother's Day. We were going to see a movie, and my brother jumps up in the air in front of me, in front of my face, and farts in my face. Grown man, little girl. He's the greatest.
Gosh.
He's my favorite person in the whole world.
That's amazing.
I mean, if you're 8, like, did he have to jump?
She was short. He did have to jump, but she was short.
No, I was a tall 8-year-old. So
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was very
like
tall.
8-year-old, he would have to
He
like
just,
bend
it was
down.
like a little hop. For like effect.
I just picture the most messed up and hilarious thing from Family Guy is when Peter Griffin grabs Meg's face and puts it into his butt and just rips one. And it's so gross and so funny.
It was like, and when I think about it now, I'm like, you are older than I am now.
Yeah. When you did that.
And I was probably in like,
Oh yeah.
like polka dot, like bike short tights under like, you know, like
Yeah.
Yeah, well, men
19
are a different species.
1994 probably.
How old is your younger sibling right
He
now?
is going to be 18 in
He's going to be
February.
18 in February. When's the last time you farted in his face?
Like last month. No.
Good.
Never.
I hope so. Next time you see
No.
him, be like, happy 18th. Fart in his face.
That's
so funny.
No.
Be quite a surprise.
Yeah, being the middle child of people who are like so far away from your age is very strange. But what I was gonna say is that when my little brother discovered like sarcasm,
Yeah.
I was old enough to be like, okay.
Yeah, and he was like
down.
trying it out all the
Yeah.
time.
Oh, when I tutored math, I tutored mainly freshmen and sophomores, and they not only are like kind of discovering sarcasm, but learning it in a way that is manipulative and mean and
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's one of those like, and they are awesome. Like it is so fun to mess with them, and
Yeah.
like I hate to say it, but I feel like I was the cool tutor because I like gave it right the F back to them, and I'd
And
be
they
like,
were like,
and
"Oh,
I'd be like,
You're a tutor. You can't do that.
Exactly. I'd be like, I know exactly what you're doing, and it isn't working on me.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I wish I could remember it, but he like, my dad had clearly been dealing with the like, this a lot, where he was like, I know you are not that, but something like that. And my brother like laid it on me, and I had like 5 in my back pocket that I remembered and was like, oh yeah, boom.
Awesome.
And you know, I was here first. I was and also, oh my God, this is embarrassing too, and I promise it'll be the last
farts.
one. But did you guys ever listen to like? Do you have K-Rock? Did you have K-Rock
Yeah.
in San Diego and everything?
I think so.
So like,
We had a
I
variation
definitely
of it.
had some bad music times when I was in high school, and one of the more embarrassing ones is like System of a Down, and my dad, when I would play, or like the Distillers and a lot of like really angry music, and I'd put it on in the car, and my dad would be like, "What's wrong?" And so we're so separate in age that my little brother started listening to K-Rock and listened to System of a Down, and my dad texted me and was like, I'll never escape this father song, like that one Chop Suey song. He was like, how is this happening 12
That's great.
years later?
now they play it on oldies stations. It's great.
They play No Doubt,
Yeah.
Don't Speak on KRF 101.
Yeah, KRF 101. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is classic rock.
We
which
haven't
is
talked
like
about the book a lot.
old
I'm
people. Well, it's not. It's
Yeah.
pretty thin. Here's what
It's a
happens.
small book.
We can talk about it, but the
Yeah.
Baudelaires, the parents are killed in a fire. This like
sorry. And
guy
it's
from the
presented
bank.
very,
Matter of factly.
Yeah.
Everything is matter of factly.
yeah.
They're fine.
A guy from the bank shows up and tells them that their parents are dead, the 3 kids. They're left an enormous fortune, but they can only get it when the eldest, who's 14-year-old eldest daughter, becomes 18, so 4 years from now. Violet. They're sent
the
to
red
live
ribbon.
with their distant relative, a person named Count Olaf, who is an actor, and he's obsessed with their fortune. He's trying to think of ways to steal it, so he's super mean to them. He makes them cook and clean, and it's very Cinderella. And then he hits Klaus, hits him across the face.
I know.
No one believes that the Baudelaires that they are being abused. Count Olaf is after their money. They study law books at Justice Strauss's house because she has a beautiful library. And
I know, I wanted to live in that library.
I know. It's absolutely. And then Count Olaf stages a play.
Which
in
I
order,
will say that is one thing that I liked about this book is how they portray reading as this like epic adventure.
Yeah,
for
it's like
kids.
Yeah.
it's a superpower. It's
Yeah,
how you get.
yeah.
It's the same thing with even the 3 kids in the beginning. Like Klaus is intelligent.
Well,
And likes to read, and
yeah.
she
Violent
likes to
is an inventor.
And their fantasy is to all be on one bed together with their books in front of them, laying down and reading books.
Yeah,
Like, it's so
Yeah.
it's
cute.
really cute. And
Yeah.
I do like the device, even though it's, especially as an adult, you're like, this count trying to marry his 13-year-old niece is
Yep.
really gross, and obviously something an evil person would do, and no one would ever defend that ever
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
And then, but I do like that that his way of tricking them is this very over-the-top play,
Yes.
because that feels like a childlike way of getting your way.
He has to
Yeah.
be menacing, but he can't be too scary and too real.
Yeah.
He has
Yeah.
to be like a Tim Burton villain, but not like, like I don't know, in the way that Beetlejuice was scary, but he was
Yeah.
also fun.
Fun, yeah.
You know, Olaf is like, oh, he is trying to marry, but he's not full Jafar.
Well, that is actually,
Yeah.
Jafar was
See,
trying to
that's-
marry Jasmine.
but and also Beetlejuice, she's 14 or 15,
Yeah.
and Beetlejuice is trying to marry her.
Yeah, Yeah, there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
But like the Count Olaf is like a combination of Jafar and Iago. Like
But
he
the
still
way
has
that
that
kids,
humor.
the way that children know marriage is that mommy and daddy are married. Mommy
Yes.
and daddy at night, they just go into the same bedroom and they sleep in the same bed.
Mm-hmm.
They make breakfast and talk to each other and about things that I don't know anything about. But they don't have this whole like weird psychotic,
Mm-hmm.
version of what that actually means. So that's where it's like,
The
yeah, this is
implication is
innocent.
not, you don't get the implication
Yeah.
if you're a kid.
But
Yeah.
I think there's one little hint in the book, and I don't know about the show because I haven't seen episode 2 yet, where Olaf says something like, I can imagine you being my bride and us being in a bed together, or something like
Yeah.
that's kind of surface level.
Yeah.
As an adult, you're like, oh, that's
Ew.
he's
Yeah.
talking about molestation.
Yeah.
But the kids are like, no, we can't be married legally, and so they go, that's
Yeah.
what they're thinking, and so then they go and try to figure out how to.
It's almost like a fairy tale too, where there aren't the evil doesn't get as, well, I guess the original fairy tales are dark, but
Right. It's like a
Yeah.
Disney fairy tale.
yeah, a Disney fairy tale.
Yeah, like
where,
no one's arm's gonna get ripped off.
yeah.
So there's that play that's being staged so that Olaf can inherit their fortune. He captures Sunny to make sure that Klaus and Violet go through with the plan. And Violet creates a grappling hook. She gets trapped by the guy with hook hands. She signs the marriage license with her left hand, so therefore it's not legally binding.
Kind of Princess Bridey too.
Yeah,
of
with like
they never really said it, like
yeah.
finding that loophole.
Did you say I do? No. Yeah, exactly. And then the lights go out in the theater. Olaf gets away. The next book, The Reptile Room.
Cool.
That's the whole book.
Yeah, it was fun. Like it was cute and fun.
I almost
and-
could have read 2 of them.
Yeah.
Even though, like, when you're like, oh, a whole book for one episode, because
Yeah.
we're used to reading so much more, but I probably could. I mean, I don't know if we want to do that to you guys, because you guys have time. It's the holidays. We don't know. Everyone's
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I would actually like to reread them because I never finished them.
Mm-hmm.
Much like I ended up reading like the last 6 books of the Animorphs at one
Oh
point.
yeah.
Because I had never finished them, and I was like,
Wait,
what happens to
did
them?
you read
Oh my
every
God.
Animorphs book?
I read like 20 of them when I was
Those
a
were
kid,
the
or 30. Yeah, I
best.
read a lot of them.
I think it's time to bring back Animorphs. I'm talking feature film franchise.
100%,
teen
and not
kids.
just because she has my name, but Rachel was the dopest.
What could
Which
she
one
turn
was Rachel?
into?
Yeah.
She was
The Hawk?
no, that was Tobias, but
Okay.
they were, and he got stuck, but she
That
loved
fucking
him.
hawk was the best one.
I loved him.
There,
he was
ki-
sensitive.
I feel like every kid was named Jake.
that was
in
the
books
main
I read as a
guy,
kid, the main guy was Jake.
Oh yeah, the main guy, and that was one of the Ashmore brothers played him on the short-lived TV show.
Oh, ooh. Wait, what was the
Animorphs.
origin of Animorphs? How could kids Animorph?
So there was an alien ship. Oh my god, I
Thank
read
you.
all of these. There was an
Okay.
alien ship, the Andalites.
Hmm.
You guys, the Andalites landed, and one of them was a prince. And there was actually a spin-off book about their history and their
Oh,
wars and how they
cool.
fought with the Yeerks. And so he gave his power to these teenagers to share it, and the Yeerks are trying to find them. And the Yeerks are those parasite aliens that wrap
was
their
ve-
head
yeah,
around
that's
the brain.
Very, very scary.
So
Invasion
it's-
of
so
the
it's-
Body
Get in their ear.
Snatchers.
So it's Invasion of the Body Snatchers meets Power Rangers
Yeah.
meets Chronicle
Yeah.
meets, that's kind of what it is?
Yeah.
That's
Right
it
for
right there.
But
Make it-
right
big
for
adventure.
an
Yeah,
adaptation.
big
Maybe
adventure.
I'll do it.
absolutely.
But I read the last 6 of them because I was like, what happens? And spoiler alert, it's really sad and dramatic.
Oh,
and,
do they all die?
No, not all of them, but some do.
Jake?
Oh, jeez.
I'm not telling you.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay.
You have to
That's cool.
read all 54 of them.
All right. Yeah.
Would you guys
I'll
read?
just
You want to
Wikipedia
read
that.
the rest of these? You're
I
you're
would.
feeling like it's not.
No, I might watch the show, but no,
Yeah.
I don't
At least
think
check
I don't
out the
think
pilot
I need
because
to
I
read
think
this.
you'd
When
get out of it.
When I
You'd
have
get a lot out of
kids,
it.
100%, these are getting read to them.
I'm gonna watch episode 2, and then I'm gonna watch episode 3, and then maybe
And
go
then
get
4?
the second book, and then watch episode 4. Because you said every 2 episodes of the Netflix show is a book, and that seems about the perfect.
So you want to watch it and then read it? You want to keep
Yeah.
doing that?
That seemed to work for you.
Yeah, it makes it more fun for me.
I can't
Yeah,
wrap my head around.
it's the way to go,
Yeah.
man.
No,
It's the way to go.
I'm with you, Rachel. I'm like book first or die.
Because
Game-
I
game
feel
okay,
like
die.
if you
Okay, die.
Say G's and die.
Whoa! Let's read all the Goosebumps.
Let's read.
Yeah.
Let's read. I want to do for.
Which, by the way,
Did you read Fear Street?
What?
Did
Fear
you read
Street,
Fear
they're
Street?
like the teen.
Oh.
Yeah, like the
No,
more
I didn't-
adult.
no, I didn't
R.L.
read those.
Stein, like After Dark.
No,
Yeah.
but R.L.
like,
Stein.
we say fuck in
the
these books.
The actual.
They did it.
No,
The
really.
actual guy who
PG-13.
is R.L. Stein
Yeah.
wrote a Wizards, Warriors, and You book, which was the Dungeons and Dragons version of a Choose Your Own Adventure, and it is heinous. Like all that entire series is heinous, but like he goes back. Like this guy who is R.L. Stine goes back, and I actually found my hands on these. I was like, this is horrendous and awful, but like, yeah, it was cool to see like his origins.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think we should do a special episode of Alpha Book Club where we read like the first Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Or like the first 3 or something.
What is the first one?
I think the first one was like.
You guys are like a gateway drug.
Is it the ventriloquist dummy one?
No, I think the first one was like the monster in the basement.
Oh yeah.
Or something real simple, and then I feel like Say Cheese and Die was like 2 or 3. Like it was pretty.
Welcome to Dead House.
Welcome to Dead House, and what's the cover? It's just a hand and a.
It says reader beware.
You're in for a scare. They all say that.
It's.
Amanda and Josh think the old house they just moved into is weird.
Yeah, it's just a haunted house.
Possibly haunted.
Yeah.
The town of Dark Falls is pretty strange too, but their parents
Dark
don't believe
Falls.
them. They'll get used to it, they say. Go out and make new friends. So Amanda and Josh do, but these creepy new friends are not exactly what their parents have in mind, because they want to be friends forever.
Yeah, that classic pink.
Yes.
Yep.
That
First
and
one.
Are You Afraid of the Dark and all of those super shaped me. But you guys, if we're reading young adult
We got to do Animorphs.
series,
We got to do
we gotta do
Goosebumps.
Animorphs. We got to do Goosebumps. We have
Harry
to
Potter,
do
I heard was okay.
Harry Potter, Alana, Song of the Boxcar Children.
Yeah.
I read those. Yeah, Nancy Drew.
Can we do a Hardy Boys book, like the first ever?
Ooh.
Only if we do Nancy Drew.
I read
Okay, I
it. Yeah,
agree.
I read a shit ton of
Babysitter's
Nancy
Club?
Drew.
Can we read the first Babysitter's Club book?
Oh my God. Also, wait, what?
Sweet Valley High.
The Babysitter's
An
Club.
American Girl?
Here's a really good.
The
here's-
OG Archie comics.
So the Babysitter's Club,
They
the
are.
same author of the Babysitter's Club did another series. I don't remember who it was, but one of the Babysitter's Club characters was from California, and she had just moved there. There was a separate series called I just remembered this, called, I think it was the California Diaries, and it was like first person, very dramatic, like teen angst living in California, and one of us starts drinking, and it was like the after dark
Grown-up
version of the
the
Babysitter's
Babysitters?
Club, and I
Oh
read
my
that
God.
one too. No wonder I
Well, if
started
you're doing
smoking.
YA, I will throw in the mix. Bartimaeus trilogy is
yeah.
top effing notch.
Is that also fantasy and there's magic involved?
Well, yeah.
Does
Do you
Google-
know me at all?
Yeah, I do.
Golden
Or The Magicians. Have you guys read The Magicians
No,
yet?
I've seen the show. I've been wanting to read the
Yeah,
books.
I've only read the first book, but it's really great.
Golden
Cool.
Compass.
Golden
Historic
Compass.
Material, so good.
You know, Golden Compass actually got me interested in string theory in a very roundabout way, but like maybe not
because
as
it's
roundabout as I thought.
it takes that
The fabric of reality.
reality.
It's cool. They explain like a bunch of sci-fi in that fantasy
Yeah,
world really well.
so good. Well, guys, let us know which young adult books you guys want to read and what you think about this one
Yeah,
so
we'll knock
far.
them out in a little. We should have a special month of YA.
Yeah,
where
we could
each
do-
week is like
Yeah.
Goosebumps,
Of-
Animorphs,
yeah,
you know, one of those little
yeah.
thin ones.
That would be really
That'd be
fun.
really cool
For
for next year.
2018, because we're going to do another year of book club. Y'all.
Yeah.
Yay!
Nice.
Yes. All right. What's our homework for next week?
Well, that's a good question.
Here we go.
So, it's time.
What?
Drum roll to announce next month's book.
Are you serious?
Can I get a lap or chair drum roll, please? Because this is really exciting news. Almost a year in the making. We're reading Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, y'all. Woo, woo, woo.
Yes, overdue.
I'm gonna rewatch the movie.
Me too.
before
Oh
I
my
start.
God, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so we have so much to talk about. I'm so excited, and Maud's gonna be so excited too. Your homework is to read to the end of chapter 4, The Keeper of Keys. Don't forget,
Nice.
we're also on Goodreads, and so is Amy, and so am I personally. We all are on there, and there's an Alpha Book Club page. Come discuss with us. Let us know what books you're reading and what we should be reading. Amy, thank you so much for reading with us. Where can
Thanks
people
for
find
having
you
me.
online?
Well, thanks so much for having me. You can find me at VorPaulSword on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, I do Mothership on Geek and Sundry Nurse and Alpha as the writer and sometimes the host. And then I do the morning show with Darren and Amy have to do a morning show.
There's a show?
I do have a morning show. Darren and Amy have to do a morning show Mondays at 8 a.m. Pacific.
Man,
Yeah, it's real.
It's a real bummer that you guys have to do that. Hopefully you get out of that someday.
Yeah, I mean, we are doing
'Cause
our
you're- 'cause
darndest,
you
but
have to.
contracts,
I know,
you know?
contracts.
Yeah.
Contracts
Heavy.
are
Lawyers.
People never think about that stuff, but contracts, lawyers,
Contracts.
legalese
Lawyers.
Yeah.
here in LA. That's the yeah.
Litigious.
yes.
That's
Legally.
true. They do.
Used law books too.
they use.
Way to tie that back in.
Thanks, Erin. Thanks. If you're interested in joining us, you can just call in and we'll talk to you like this. Let us know on Twitter at @JoinTeamAlpha. I finally said it. With the hashtag Alpha Book Club. And we'll get y'all set up. Make sure you send us your book recommendations to @Nerdist, @Geek and Sundry, or @JoinTeamAlpha with the hashtag Alpha Book Club, because we want to keep reading. We're not just reading this book. We're all usually reading comic books, other books.
Yeah.
I will say that,
different times.
this show, anytime I'm on, it is a gateway drug, because even this, it's like, oh, and there are 13 more, The Annihilation.
I
you
could
read
knock
one
these
book,
out.
but
Yeah.
oh, God, it's gonna, you know,
Gotta
you have to,
read the other
gotta read
one,
more.
so-
Got to reread all the Harry Potters now.
Yeah, we're going to. It's going to be
yes,
so
yes,
great.
Yes.
Okay,
It's going to be
cool.
so fun.
Cool.
We'll see you guys soon. Thanks for joining us. Bye.